There is a thought that will cross your mind today. It might happen in the shower, or on a commute, or in a quiet moment just before sleep. A flash, a flicker, the sudden unwanted awareness that one day you will not exist. And then you will push it away, the way you always do. And go back to whatever you were doing. That feeling has a name. Terror management theorists call it mortality salience. But what they cannot fully explain is this: you are the only creature on Earth who experiences it. And the moment your ancestors first felt it, the moment the human brain became capable of truly grasping its own death, may be the single most important event in all of human history. By the end of this, the entire story of human civilization is going to look like something different. Not a march toward progress, but an elaborate 100,000-year-long attempt to survive a thought. Let's go back, way back. Picture a world without mirrors, without language, without the ability to sit quietly and trace a line from your birth to your death. For millions of years, your ancestors lived in exactly that world. They felt pain. They fled predators. They watched members of their group collapse and go still. But neuroscientists and anthropologists now believe they did not understand what that stillness meant. Not really. Not the way you do. The brain required for that understanding did not exist yet. The prefrontal cortex, the region behind your forehead, is what separates your cognitive experience from that of nearly every other animal. It is the seat of what researchers call mental time travel, the ability to project yourself backward into memory and forward into an imagined future. A chimpanzee can remember where it hid food. A crow can plan for tomorrow. But no other animal, as far as the evidence suggests, can construct a detailed mental simulation of its own non-existence decades from now and feel genuine dread about it. That capacity was not always there. It had to be built. Around 300,000 years ago, something began shifting. Anatomically modern humans started emerging in Africa, and their skulls were changing shape. The brain case was rounding at the back, the frontal lobe was expanding, and with that expansion came something that had never existed before in the history of life on Earth. A mind that could step outside its own moment. But knowing when the first human truly grasped mortality is not something a skull can tell you. For that, you need to look at what they left behind. Researchers studying the archaeological record have identified what they call behavioral modernity, a cluster of cognitive leaps that appear suddenly. Abstract art, personal ornamentation, long-distance trade, ritual burial, and here is where things get genuinely strange. Ritual burial is the clue that changes everything. When your ancestors began burying their dead with intention, placing bodies carefully, orienting them in particular directions, surrounding them with flowers, tools, ochre, objects of meaning, they were doing something no other animal does. They were responding to death as if it required a response, as if the person who died had gone somewhere, rather than simply stopped, as if death was a problem that needed to be addressed, symbolically, ceremonially, with effort and attention. The oldest currently accepted evidence of intentional burial comes from a site in Israel called Kafze Cave, dated to approximately 100,000 years ago. Paleoanthropologist Arella Hovers and her colleagues documented burials there accompanied by ochre and seashells, objects that carried no survival value whatsoever. They were meaning objects, placed there not for function, but for feeling. And that distinction matters enormously. Because to bury the dead with meaning, you first have to understand that death means something. You have to know that the person is gone and not coming back. You have to feel the weight of that permanence. And somewhere in that feeling, that enormous, crushing awareness, lies the birth of something else entirely. Terror. Ernest Becker was a cultural anthropologist who spent his life trying to answer one question: why do humans do what they do? His 1973 book, The Denial of Death, won the Pulitzer Prize, and argued something radical: that virtually every human behavior, religion, art, war, the pursuit of fame, the desire for children, the construction of monuments, is a response to death anxiety. That civilization itself is a buffer, a colossal, collective project designed to make individuals feel like they matter, like they will persist, like they are part of something bigger than a single fragile body. Becker called this the Immortality Project, and once you see it, you cannot stop seeing it everywhere. Think about the pyramids. Think about what a pyramid actually is, stripped of its cultural significance. It is a structure built by tens of thousands of human beings at extraordinary cost for one purpose: to preserve the memory of a single person across time, to push back against erasure, to make a name permanent when the body cannot be. Now think about every monument, every institution, every name carved into stone, every parent who says, in some quiet moment, that part of them will live on in their children, every artist who creates something because they want to leave something behind. The impulse is not ambition. It is terror. The specific, peculiarly human terror of knowing that you will stop. But here is the counterintuitive twist that the research reveals. That terror, as devastating as it is, may also be the engine of everything beautiful. Psychologists Jeff Greenberg, Sheldon Solomon, and Tom Pischinsky developed what they called terror management theory in the 1980s, building directly on Becker's work. Their experiments produced some of the most unsettling findings in modern psychology. When you remind people, subtly, that they are going to die through a question, a word, a passing image, they immediately and unconsciously defend their worldview more aggressively. They become more hostile to people who hold different beliefs. They become more generous to people who share them. They cling harder to meaning. Death awareness makes humans tribal. It makes them ideological. It makes them build things and destroy things and love things with an intensity that an animal without this awareness would never experience. The cave paintings in Lascaux, France, 17,000 years old, drawn by firelight deep inside the earth where no natural light ever reached, were not made by artists trying to decorate a wall. They were made by humans who understood that one day they would die, and who responded by creating something that would outlast them. They were the first status updates, the first desperate messages sent across time. I was here. I existed. I mattered. Your ancestors figured out something around 100,000 years ago that no other species ever has, that the knowledge of death is also the knowledge of self. You cannot know you will die unless you know that you exist. And you cannot know that you exist without asking the next question, the one that haunts every human life. What does it mean that I do? That question has produced religion and philosophy and music and literature and science and war. It has produced the worst things humans have ever done to each other and the most beautiful things they have ever made. Every system of belief, every culture, every language, every art form, all of it at some level is an answer to the question that your ancient ancestor first had to ask when they placed a handful of seashells beside someone they had lost. Now, about that thought you will have today, the one in the shower, the one in the quiet moment, the flash of your own mortality that will cross your mind and that you will push away. You will push it away because your brain is doing exactly what your ancestors' brains learned to do, managing the terror, building the buffer, converting the unbearable awareness into motivation, into meaning, into the next thing you will make or love or try to leave behind. You are not broken when that thought appears. You are not unusual. You are experiencing the exact cognitive event that made you human in the first place. Tonight, when that thought comes, and it will come, You might notice for just a moment that you are standing in a line of people that stretches back 100,000 years. Every one of them felt what you were feeling. Every one of them pushed it away. And every one of them, in the pushing away, went on to build something. That is what you are made of. Not just biology, but the response to knowing.